if you could, let everyone know who you are, what you do, what you're all about, and what you got going on in your life.
All right. Well, I'm Courtney Hawkins. I'm a music producer, YouTube content creator, Instagram content creator, beat maker extraordinaire, I guess. But, yeah, I make beats and I produce music. So and also I do have a 9-to-5 job. So just to let everyone know, because people do ask me that a lot, I do have a 9-to-5 job where I work in marketing, and I do the rest on the side.
Nice. Yeah, I'm also in the 9-to-5 job or career kind of boat as well. It's a hard balance, like doing YouTube and music business and a job. It's tough.
It's a lot.
But to give everyone the backstory, I've been watching Courtney's channel for, I think I originally saw your thing a couple of years ago when I bought my own machine. Do they say it Machina or machine? I've always wondered.
It's Machina, but for like us Americans, it's machine.
Yeah. And so Courtney has an awesome series called Just a Girl and Her Machine. And that was like one of the first videos I saw when I was trying to like get up and running with my Native Instruments machine. And I think at one point I like hit you up somewhere to like ask, back when I was doing music production, if you wanted to collab. And I think I used like the wrong email or something. And then recently I remembered, when I was doing these kind of interview series, I was like, Courtney Hawkins would be great to have on because you have a lot of success points in the music world. And I thought it was super cool. Mm-hmm. And I thought my audience would, love to hear how you did it and all that. So I think a good starting point would be, what's your YouTube journey been? Like, when did you start and how long did it take you to start like gaining a fan base?
Yeah, sure. Well, my channel started in like 2012 and I was like making remakes of like instrumentals, basically just instrumental remakes so I could like teach myself things because I don't have a musical like education background. So I didn't, I wasn't trained classically or anything like that. So I would just use YouTube as a way to like, get feedback on whether it was good or bad. But then I stopped doing that because I was working more in the industry, and I was like working on, during the time ringtones were really popular and like they wanted you to remake popular songs. So I was working with Sony and I would submit basically ringtone instrumentals, and I was doing that for a little while. And then I started actually working on trying to get placements and all of that, and that's just like a whole other thing. And you kind of get a little burnout from that, I'm not gonna lie. So I came back to YouTube in about 2018. I was in my last semester of college, so I just wanted to do something for fun. I didn't have a whole lot of like classes. I was like, okay, I have some time. Let's do this video thing. Let's try to do YouTube. So I started doing these little like tutorials. I think my first tutorial was like a Kai MPK Mini or something. And I did it because nobody had one on YouTube on how to program the pads. And I was so frustrated. I was like, nobody has said anything about this. It took me forever to figure out. I'm going to make a video about this. And it's like one of my like top videos. So I thought that was funny because like literally there is no other video that went over this at that time. but then I was like, I don't want to just do tutorials because I love making music. So I did, I took a picture of my machine, the MK3 when I got it, and I captioned it Just a Girl and Her Machine. And somebody in the comments said that would be a dope YouTube series. Yeah. And I was like, all right, done. So I started filming that series, and the rest is pretty much history on that. It just started like with, wanting to do something more with my time, and then it progressed into working with brands, which was weird.
Yeah, and what you said about how you originally made that video because you had this piece of gear and no one was making videos on how to do certain things with it. I found through like all the different types of content I've made over the past like 10 years, the best types of content are the types that no one else is doing, because it's you're filling like an actual need and a gap in the YouTube content area. And you started off doing like, if you can find a piece of gear that no one talks about, you're going to be kind of king of the category, so to speak, in that piece of gear. And for me, you know, it's back in the day I was teaching screaming lessons, like how to scream like metal stuff. And
which is so weird that you say that. The first time I saw you do that, I was like, what?
yeah, it's funny when people get recommended my old videos, like, cause you know, YouTube sometimes just gets the recommending stuff wrong and be like, what the heck? Like I subscribed to you for music marketing. You scream in a metal band? Like what's going on?
Yes.
And then when I was doing music production and gear reviews, or like more software reviews, I noticed that software reviews and stuff tend to be a pretty big driver of views, especially if like no one else is covering them. So
right.
For everyone watching, if you're trying to get into YouTube, do that strategy.
Yes. And also, like, for me personally, doing things that other people are doing is like, it's not motivating. Like, it feels really like soul sucking a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't enjoy it. So I would say do your own thing. Like, always do your own thing. Whatever it is, do it. Don't chase a wave.
Yeah. Yeah, because when I think about your channel, I think about, I mean, the Just a Girl and Her Machine series, obviously. And I think about, you have a very unique editing style that, like, you can tell it's a Courtney Hawkins video even with, like, the audio off and without seeing your face. Like, the overhead shots and the color grading and the way you, like, overlay screen grabs all, like, on your desk and stuff, it's super unique and cool. And I forget where I was going with that. But if someone were to ask you, because I get this question all the time, people are like, oh, I want to start a YouTube channel, but I don't know what to do. Like, what content would you recommend? Like, maybe someone's a, you know, an EDM producer, maybe they make kind of lo-fi beats or something in that vein, Ableton Live, Logic. What kind of content ideas would you give to a newcomer that wants to get into the YouTube space?
Well, I would ask them one of two things. I would ask them, are they wanting to, you know, teach people, or are they wanting to perform? Because YouTube is kind of set up in one of those two categories where you're either, it's a how-to, or it's a, hey, this is who I am and this is what I do thing. So I would ask that. And then if it was like the how-to thing, then always keep your personality in it and don't try to be like anyone else, because those intricacies and those niche things that you do are what makes you, and that's what engages people. People don't like a lot of mystery. They like to see like the quirky stuff and like your like Funko Pops and all of that stuff, like, because it's like a representation. They're like, oh, I'm like that. Or if they see a Rubik's Cube, like if I have a Rubik's Cube in one of my videos, they're like, oh, Rubik's Cube. Like, it's like it's weird. It's something so small, but it's like a connection immediately.
Yeah.
So always show your personality, and just try to, like, you don't have to do one of the two. You don't have to just do a how-to or, hey, you know, this is me performing. But like, I would figure out what it is, like, why do you want to do YouTube, basically, first and foremost.
Yeah, those are all great pieces of advice, and that's pretty much exactly what I think I would say too, like to a T. Especially the part about keeping your personality in it. Like, a lot of people want to be, you know, just doing screen shares and not show their face, and I've tried that, and I've noticed that you'll get a lot of like for example, a software review, and you just like play some music and show a demo. You get a lot of views, but no one's subscribing, no one's commenting, no one gives a crap about who you are.
Yeah, the engagement is just so low on that type of stuff. Like, unless it's like beats. I know there's a lot of beat channels where they'll just upload their beats and they'll have like a really static image, and sometimes they get a lot of engagement and sometimes they don't, but that's a really hit or miss market, because the only thing that draws the person in is the beat. So, you know, your chances are of getting that engagement are lower, because you have to have one thing that's going to grab them, instead of, if you're on camera and you're showing your personality, you have a little bit more to work with. Yeah.
And for all those beat people, you know, it's pretty common for those, for people in the beat making, they're trying to sell their beats and stuff. While it's super saturated right now, it seems like,
Yeah.
A lot of them are trying to go on YouTube and just upload like a piece of artwork and a beat. And personally, I think that's a bad idea. But like, what else could a beat maker do to show off their beats, but not just like be a boring person who, you know, writes like Lil Nas X type beat and has like artwork and just music? Like, what else could they do?
Honestly, you could probably do the more performative aspect of it, and like you don't have to do like necessarily the beat making process, but you could show yourself performing the beat, and that would be a little bit more engaging. Show a little bit more of your setup, because people are really interested in setups, and like especially producers, because you're not just going to get artists looking at your beats, you're going to get producers looking at them, like you and I have seen these beats.
Yeah.
So you have opportunity to, you know, engage with multiple people and a broader audience. So show your personality, show your setup, and, you know, just do what you want to do and make the music that you want to make. Don't make the music that you think people want you to make, basically.
It's a pretty...
Because that will keep you in there longer. Because the longevity of copying people is not there. There is no longevity.
Yeah, it's nuts, like the different types of beats people will make to keep on top of trends. Like, I bet you know, when did that song by Cardi B come out? Like a week ago? I bet you there's already like 2
weeks, I think.
Yeah, there's probably already a ton of type beats made after that. And
oh, for sure. It's crazy.
Yeah. And Caleb Yandora in the chat just asked, could you post beats and songs on the same YouTube channel? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think you could, for sure. Because it'll show people, like is he saying his songs, or like
I think
just
he means
songs that he's worked with other people?
I think he means like if you're both selling beats and releasing music as an artist, would you kind of put them both in the same channel?
Oh yeah, I would, for sure, because it will show like customers, or, you know, your audience, that you can do both of these things. And if it's an artist and they see you having full songs together, they might reach out to you for mixing, mastering, engineering stuff as well, because they'll hear what you did with the vocals. Yeah,
and you're actually an example of this. Like, if you type in, everyone go type in Courtney Hawkins on Spotify, and you'll find you have a decent amount of music. I don't remember how much you have, but you put out music. You know, you're not just a beat maker, and
right.
You actually have a lot of music, like a lot on Spotify. So this isn't just something Courtney's saying like, oh, go do this. Like, she actually releases music and sells beats, and I would think that the traffic you get on Spotify, like someone hears that you're selling beats. You know, you mentioned earlier that now you're not selling them publicly as much, but if someone finds you on Spotify and they like your songs, that's only going to help you. And if you have them on YouTube the same way, I can't think of any way that having both would hurt you.
No, absolutely not. And I've had people reach out to me with from the Just a Girl and Her Machine series, asking about the beats that are in those videos, if they're for sale and stuff like that. So it can't hurt you. It can only help you if you put more of your stuff out there.
Yeah. Now, while I have your Spotify open, what's your strategy been for releasing and promoting your music side of business, like the actual songs you release?
This is where I probably should do more work, because I literally have no strategy. I just release things whenever and hope for the best, really. Like, I've never bought any playlists, spots, or paid for ads for Spotify. Just kind of, since I do have that little like producer community, some of them have playlists that they have graciously put me on. And it just kind of happened word of mouth kind of thing, where I would be in somebody's playlist and then they would add it to another playlist and things like that. So I kind of had that organic growth, but it is something that I am looking at for going forward, because I have so much unreleased music. It's insane. I was like, I need to do something with this, but I need to have a plan for it. So,
Yeah.
so yes, going forward, I definitely need to look into scheduling things better and like setting up the marketing better so they have a better chance at getting to people.
Yeah, it's doing very well considering you haven't promoted it like I mean, I don't want to say normal person. I want to say like a non-YouTuber person with no existing community or audience. If they just put up the songs willy-nilly, that they get like 5 streams. But you doing it, since you have this community in your YouTube channel, you're still getting 3,600 monthly listeners and you have 553 followers. Essentially, as you said, doing everything willy-nilly, putting stuff up when you want with no strategy. So it's...
Yeah, and I don't take Spotify too seriously just because I just want to get my music out there. So that's most of the reason why I don't do that. But going forward, like I said, I have so much music that I do need to, that you do have to have a plan when it comes to Spotify and getting things onto playlists and everything else, like making sure it has the best first week, uploading it at least a couple months before, maybe a month before at the latest. You want to give yourself the best chance that you can. And I just haven't done that lately. So
Yeah. But still, I'm glad it's going well. But on the flip side, we talked a little bit about beats. I don't remember what we talked about before and after I actually hit the stream, but
that's okay.
So you mentioned at some point that you used to try to sell like beats publicly.
Yeah, and I did really well at that, and it was great. But with that, there's like added stress of like getting beats uploaded every week and making sure like everything is together. You have to get your stems up there. You have to get your artwork done. All of this stuff, making sure you have your Instagram posts together, and I have return customers that I can just reach out to now and I can work with them if I want to, or, I would rather do the custom work rather than just making a beat and then hoping somebody buys it.
Yeah.
I still have my beat store up and I still occasionally get sales randomly, but I haven't posted any new beats on there for like a year or maybe a year and a half.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So you have it for a bit. Yeah, I noticed you have sample packs too. You have, I think, two different sample packs.
I have 2 different sample packs, and I have 3 that are also not done yet. So be on the lookout for that.
Do you find the sample packs are a lucrative industry?
Yes. Yeah, they are. I actually that was another reason why I stopped really focusing on selling beats, because I enjoyed creating sample packs more, because when you're working on beats, you have to have it front to back done, and when you're working on loops or samples, you just have a little bit more freedom, and you can work on a lot more instead of being stuck on a beat for 4 or 5 hours when it comes to starting and then finishing with mastering and everything.
Yeah, I never wanted to get into the beat game because I saw like it's not only is it a lot of work like to be a public beat person like per song, but people are cranking out daily beats. Like you almost can't compete nowadays.
They also use a lot of templates within theirs, and I'm like, I use templates too, but like they'll do a template for like a trap, like, okay, I'm going to work on trap beats today, and they have their template up, so like their plugins are all there and everything, and so they're just basically making the same beat over and over and over again for a couple of days. And there's no shade towards that, but I get really bored with doing that type of stuff. I want to have more room to be creative, so I had to step away for a bit.
Yeah, I can see how that would be a complete bore. On the sample pack note, I mean, I have a sample pack store, Geneva Studios, and it's like, for everyone watching, it's a very, very good way to make money. It's like, I actually market stuff with like Facebook ads for my sample packs, and I'll do sales and I'll make sales funnels and stuff. But it's kind of like, I've noticed the higher up you go in the food chain, so to speak, like on one level, you have people who make finished songs, and then you have people who make, you have vocalists and beat makers, and then the beat makers use sample packs and presets to make all their sound, and then below that you have plugins and contact libraries. And the lower you can get in that chain, I found the more money you make.
Yes.
Because it's like
100%.
you get this ripple effect going all the way down. So I'm glad that you kind of agree with that.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree.
Because I also do contact libraries, and those make a lot more money than sample packs. And I've been trying to learn like how to make actual plugins because I have an engineering background, but it's tough.
I can imagine. I thought about it too, and I was like, man, I just feel like this is going to be a lot more work than I think it is in my head.
It is, yeah.
Getting the graphic user interface together, all of that.
Yeah.
And then all the back end stuff. Oh no.
Yeah, it's tough. Actually, we have another question that just came in. Marexon, I think I'm saying that right. Hi, ask her please if she makes beats, mix, and master in Machine to software or Native Instruments or Ableton. So basically, do you do everything kind of like in Machina, or do you export into? I think you use Logic, right? Yeah,
I do not mix and master in Machina. I make. When I do Just a Girl and Her Machine, I'm solely working in Machine, yes. So everything that you see in the video is just Machine, nothing else. But as soon as in the video, I export all of my audio tracks, and then I drag them into Logic, and then I do the mixing from there, and adding plugins, mastering, and all that is done in Logic.
That sounds like a good strategy. I've tried to do everything, because when I originally got my Machine, I banged out an album in like 2 weeks because I was just having so much fun with it, and I tried to do everything in the Machine, and man, it was a bad time, real bad time.
Yeah, it is not fun. It is not fun doing that. I get that question a lot though. People asking me if I do everything in Machine, and I just feel like we're all struggling together. We're like when we get to that final stage, we're like, does anyone actually do this?
That's actually the reason I ditched using the Machine. And I switched because what I really wanted was an integrated DAW and hardware thing. And I was using Logic for like 10 years at the time. And so what I did is I was like, well, I found this Ableton push thing online. It looks kind of cool. And I just completely jumped ship over to Ableton at that point. Solely just like the hardware and software integration, it's like having an iPhone and a Mac, and it just all works so beautifully. So
I have Ableton, but I haven't yet dived into it. I'm a little nervous because I've been with Logic for so long. I'm like, do I want to learn another JW?
It's very easy once you know Logic, and for electronic music, at least in my opinion, I find it to be much easier and much more flexible. I still use Logic for all my vocal tracking because it has the best comping software for vocals, and I'll use it if if I'm doing like a audio exclusive project because the audio workflow is a little better. But I feel like if you switched over, you'd get called like a heretic or something. You know?
Oh God!
It's like ingrained in your channel's culture at this point.
If I switched to Ableton, they would tell me that I'm a sellout.
Yeah, they'd say they like paid you or something.
Yeah, they're like, great, another one. Now who's making Logic tutorials?
Yeah. And so on that note, you've been using Machine for so long, and if anyone doesn't know, Courtney somehow managed to get these like awesome like Native Instruments collabs, and they've picked you for like every year I feel like they do a couple of contests, and they've put you in like the top of certain, either like just pointing out awesome producers in the community, and I've seen you on there at least once, maybe twice. Like what's the story behind all that Native Instrument stuff, if you don't mind sharing? I don't know if you can say it publicly, but
Yeah, I can. So we talked a little bit about it, but basically I had started doing Just a Girl and Her Machine, and I was really active on Instagram at the time, and I posted a picture and they liked it, and I was like, well, they know me now. I guess I'll just reach out. So I didn't have an email to reach out to anyone. So I went to Native Instruments and went to their tech support like chat thing. And I sent them an email saying basically, hey, I noticed that your marketing team liked one of my videos. I sent them some links and I was like, could you pass this on to them? Like, so we can like touch base on some things. I have some ideas that I'd like to work on. I have a YouTube channel, yada, yada, yada. And they reached out to me and I was in class and I opened my phone and I like saw the email and I was like, what? I did not expect them to respond to that at all, especially reaching out through a tech support. But I've done that with every brand deal. Like,
really?
I reached out to every like Arturia, I reached out that way, and Rolly, I reached out that way. And it just, I was like, what is there to lose, you know? Like, you got to shoot your shots. So I was like, they will tell me no. So yeah, I sent a message through the tech support, basically an introduction, what I'm doing, you know, what I have plans for. And luckily they responded. Not everyone responded. I am going to throw shade at one company, and that is Akai. I've reached out to them so many times, and they just ignore me all of the time. And I'm like, man, all I'm asking for here is like, maybe we can work together on something. I already have Akai equipment. Like, I'm not asking for free stuff. It's like, just, you know, a little shout out or something. No, silence, ghosted. They don't want to do anything. But yeah, it was so funny because that's like my top viewed video is the Kai, and they're just like, no.
Oh, that sucks. But with the Native Instruments thing, and then also like Broly also is another common one that comes up, and it sounds like, you know, people should reach out to these companies more than they think they could, because as you said, what's there to lose? You know, you're going to get a no, and then you know, maybe your feelings are hurt a little bit, but who cares? You know, that's
And honestly, I was emailing so many companies that I don't even remember the ones that didn't respond. So you just kind of like you get some yeses, you get some nos, and you just keep going about your day. But honestly, like, I was really lucky that I wasn't overwhelmed in the beginning with how many I was sending out. Enough responded, but I felt like it was manageable. And now I'm at a point where I'm having to tell companies no, and that's not always easy to do because I want to be able to help them. I want to be like, if it's something that I actually use and I think will fit into my workflow, then I want to be able to help them. But you know, you run out of time in a day, and it's hard to do that. And I do feel bad for having to turn companies down sometimes. So double-edged sword.
And I've done the same thing back when I was doing like music production and software demo videos, you know, like literally a year ago. And I would just find a piece of software that I thought was cool and just email the company or hit them up on social media and be like, hey, I have a channel and I review all this software. I get all these views. Want to send over a copy or something, you know, or maybe even set up a, you know, talk with you or something. And sometimes you don't get a reply, but man, I've gotten so many free contact libraries to review out of that process. And you know, I was just doing it for content. So like, I have more contact libraries and plugins than I even know what to do with at this point. And I did it the wrong way, where I got completely overwhelmed. Like, I sent out too many emails, and I had to not do some things, but it's tough. But message to everyone out there, like, don't be afraid to hit up a company, and, you know, maybe it's not a YouTube video, maybe it's a brand thing on your social media, or maybe they, you know, a discount for merch, because like guitar companies will sponsor bands and stuff and give them discounts, and it doesn't hurt.
No, and also I would say, like, don't reach out to the companies that you know you're not going to like
Yeah.
use their products because that your audience is going to know when you're really not feeling something.
Right.
As much as you want to help companies, sometimes it's best to also say no because you know that you're not going to use it after you finish that video.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. And I think I've done that a good amount too. Like, as I was just reviewing everything I could. And so I didn't even care if it was something I'd necessarily would use. It was a cool thing and I wanted to share it with people. But
same.
like, I found that was not necessarily the best idea, as you said. So
no, it gets stressful because you're like, I really don't know how to integrate this with my workflow and make it a natural way to talk about it in a video. I don't, and I'm telling you, the audience knows every time. They're like, I don't know about this one, Court.
Yeah, the best. I've only ever done a paid sponsorship on videos twice. Like one where they actually give you money, like in addition to a free product. Well, actually 3 times, but 2 times were DistroKid. And DistroKid, like I think, is like the best company to work with because like they I'm not going to say what they pay because that's probably not allowed, but they pay well and they don't tell you what to say. They'll be like, hey, can you mention these cool features? And I was already using them at the time, so it was like, yeah, I'll get paid to tell people to use something I already use and like. That sounds pretty good.
Yes, same. And I know that they've like had a little bit of, criticism with like the overseas stuff if it's international artists, but I really have not ever had a problem with them. And also, when they reach out to me to do videos, like they're just like so easy to talk to. It's quick, like no BS type of stuff. Like they just are like, hey, could you do this? You don't have to say anything specific, but could you mention some features like you said? And it's like it's so simple, but not often is it like that. Where with companies, they're like, hey, is it where you have like the freedom to do your videos?
Yeah.
Like you lose that sometimes. I don't think people realize that. Like you lose your creative freedom sometimes when you do those sponsored videos, which sucks. So I try not to do too many of them, especially ones where they're just like way too critical about everything. Like I don't want to have to follow too many scripts or anything like that, or link things where it has to be like above 10 minutes. Like it's hard to do a YouTube video that's sponsored that's over 10 minutes, in my opinion. Like, how many times can I say the same thing?
Yeah, it's like if you see all those sponsors for, what is it, like Shadow Legends or whatever, and they have like a 3-minute sponsored section and like a 15-minute video, and I've seen a lot of YouTubers complain about that because they'll give them like this 3-paragraph list of rules. And they'll be like, you have to show more than 2 minutes of gameplay, talk about it for more than 3 minutes. Apparently the pay is fantastic, like thousands of dollars for even like channels, in our ballpark. But they like, you're basically just letting them take over your channel for a video, it sounds like,
Exactly. And I mean, you have to factor in all of these things like filming, editing. Well, first of all, you have to get all your shots together, like how are you going to do your video, and then you film, and then you edit, and all of those things take a long time to do. So the pay has to balance out, how much time it's going to take, and sometimes companies aren't really willing to budge in that area. So you have to be cautious of that as well.
Right, yeah. Just looking at my thing here. So what do you think out of, you have a lot of videos on your channel. I think I actually have it open. 135 videos, which I actually thought it was more, but that's still a lot of videos. Have you ever gone in like a consistent schedule? I
used to when I first started, but then I got to a point where it wasn't becoming fun anymore. And that was the whole reason why I started YouTube, was I wanted it to be just a fun, creative outlet. And it started to become this thing where it was taking up a lot of my free time. and I wasn't getting to, socialize
Yeah.
very much with people. So I cut it back a bit, and now I try to stick to a Monday schedule, but I've been off the past couple two weeks because it's been crazy hectic here. But yeah, I tried to stick with a once a week thing, but it's hard sometimes, especially with having another job. So
Yeah, I mean, I went to twice a week in 2019, and I've been doing this year twice a week with a Monday live stream and sometimes extra live streams like this.
yeah.
And I have zero social life now because of that. Like, I don't like I've like my weekends are blocked off, and that's like all time with the girlfriend and hanging out with people and stuff. But aside from that, it really does suck up your social life, as you said.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, I haven't been like crazy social this year, obviously, but
this is probably the best year to be a YouTuber.
I found myself just like creating more like music and not having a camera on me while I do it, which has been really therapeutic for me. And it made me like get back into, enjoying making music, because for a while I was getting really burnt out on all of it. So it was just a refreshing thing to just be like, oh, I'm in my studio, I can work on this, and nobody's watching me, and there's no expectations. It can just be what it is.
Yeah.
But also in that, I'm like, I'll make a beat or something, and I'm like, I should have probably made a tutorial on this because somebody's probably wondering how to do this. So it's like, I've got to figure out a better balance, to be honest.
Yeah, it is a lot more fun when you make music kind of just for yourself and not for like a crowd, like a video. Obviously when you make music, you release it. It's not like just for yourself at that point. But when you know the camera's running, it's a different experience for sure. Yeah.
And if you're a person like me that does not enjoy being on camera, it's like you really have to find that extra motivation to, sit down and turn the light on and hit record. It's not that easy.
A lot of people don't realize how introverted most YouTubers are. Like almost every single person that I know that does YouTube, like they describe themselves as an introvert. And when I talk to them on Zoom or something, or in person, it's like you can tell they're way more chill than they are in their videos. And I think it's just for some reason us like isolated weirdos of society like making videos. Like it's kind of a weird thing.
I think also like when we sit down and we're like about to make a video, we're also very analytical, and we're like, that can kind of hold us back sometimes, whereas we just have to push through and do it. Like we can't analyze and perfect everything, which is hard for us introverted type people.
Yeah.
Because we're like, oh, everything has to be a certain way. Like we've already thought about this. Now we're like going on top of that and thinking about it more, and it's just like, just do it.
Yeah. And I think that's my number one thing I say, like, as an answer to most questions, like, just do it. Whatever you're thinking about doing, stop talking about doing it. Just go out and do it. Like, whether it's starting a YouTube channel, like, okay, go out and make a video a week for the next year. Like, I want to make music. Okay, just start releasing music every month. Like, just do it. Like,
yes. It'll get easier, though. I will say that it does get easier, because I had taken a couple months off from making videos because I had moved and I was had a lot of construction in the studio, and I was like really I could not get in the zone. I was like, I feel like this is my first video again. Like, I don't know how to do this. It was so uncomfortable. But then when I started doing it a couple times, I was like, oh, okay, easy. I'm in a groove again. So it does get easier the more that you do it. I will say that.
Yeah. And the more you can minimize your workflow time too, I found helps a lot. Like I used to have this long editing process. Like I'd get my camera and I'd film everything onto an SD card. I'd use QuickTime and record the screen. I use a separate QuickTime thing, record the screen audio, sync it all up, do the edits, and it'd take me like 2 hours or 3 hours of video, and now I just use OBS, and like for a video will take me 5 minutes to edit. It's basically like I one take the videos, and so that means whenever I'm feeling like I can make a video, I can just be like, bam, video done, instead of having to think like, well, this is a 4-hour investment of my life. I have to make sure this is going to be something worthwhile. I can be like, no, just shoot it, and then decide later.
Yeah.
And that helps me.
Exactly. Yeah, that helps me too, because realistically, filming Just a Girl and Her Machine does not take that long. It takes like 30 minutes, because I don't do that all in one take. It takes me a while to figure out which, groove I like the most. So it does take me a little bit, but 30 minutes out of a whole day is not very much.
Right, yeah.
There's no excuse to not do it.
I just pulled up your Instagram, actually. So you have 13,000 followers on your Instagram? How the heck did you pull that off?
I used to be on Instagram all of the time, and like towards the end of 2016 until about the beginning of 2019 is when I kind of stopped using it as much. But yeah, I was on there all the time, like doing the Gary Vee thing where you would like message people and be like, hey, reaching out. And I think I'm DM'd like 100 people a day because that's all I used to do. Before I had a 9 to 5, I was just solely producing music. That's all I did. But it got to the point where I wasn't enjoying it as much, and it took the fun out of it, and I was like really conflicted. So then that's when I got a 9 to 5 job, and now I can like have fun again with music and it not feel like stress, because when you're a creator in that field, you never know what your income is going to be every month. Like some months are way better than others, and the months that it's not so great, it can be really stressful. And I didn't like that stress. So that's why I leaned towards getting a 9 to 5. And then that's when I started getting off of Instagram a little bit too, because, when we're in this industry, we compare ourselves a lot. Yeah. Not because we want to, but it just happens. Like, it's just a human thing, and it's just not a healthy thing. So I got off of there, but yeah, I was DMing people like hundreds of DMs a day. I would scroll my feed, like just doing comments, whatever, basically networking on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it worked, but the engagement now is just, it's so much lower than it used to be. And I've thought about going through and manually getting rid of the inactive accounts, but 13,000 is a lot to go through. Yeah,
I don't know if it would really help to do that either.
Yeah, exactly.
It's cool to hear that. We always hear about that Gary Vee tactic, which I think Adam Ivey at some point made his own version. Does he call it the 5-5-5 strategy? And then Gary Vee, it's like the $1.80 rule or something. But at the end of the day, it's the same kind of thing. Pick X amount of hashtags, leave X amount of engaging comments and likes, send X amount of DMs per day, and all those interactions add up to a good amount of like social media points, so to speak. And people check out your page, they like your videos, they click your links and follow you. And it's cool that you actually did it. You got a lot of people doing that.
Yeah, it was a lot of work. I remember that. Those like 2016, 2017, and most of 2018, it was just constant daily thing. And you can burn yourself out on that, but it does work. If I did pick it back up, I feel like it would still get the same results as it got then, though. So I don't think that I'm not like one of those people that's like, oh, Instagram's wave died. No, I think if you did that today where you reached out to people, you would still get that kind of engagement, especially if you personalize those messages like I was doing. Like, I was checking out those people's pages, and I was like, there were specific things that I would talk about in each DM. It wasn't like a copy paste situation. It was just starting a conversation with something that would engage them and know that I wasn't a bot. So
right. Yeah, and
important.
To give proof that what Courtney just said is right. I did it like 6 months ago, I would post roughly 6 months ago. I do a daily Instagram post, and I would go find a bunch of hashtags that I was posting in and leave comments and like message really good content creators I liked and kind of just try to like have a conversation. And it works. Like it still works. Instagram is not like dead by any means. Like the organic reach of just posting with some hashtags and having it explode, those days are kind of over. But that same strategy works, and it works on Twitter, it works on Facebook. It doesn't really work on YouTube, but
no,
yeah,
not so much on YouTube, but it does definitely work on Instagram and Twitter for sure.
Yeah, you don't want to be that person on YouTube leaving a comment like, wow, I found you really did such a great job with your machine video. I really liked that beat. Actually, I make beats with my machine on my channel too. Maybe you'd like to check it out I bet you get that all the time.
It goes straight to the spam folder because anything that says check out.
Oh yeah.
Not because of me, but like anything that says check out, it automatically goes to that spam folder. So I don't know, and I don't look at my spam folder that often.
I look at it every so often, and like they're really good at their spam detection. Like they let some stuff through. Like recently I've been getting a whole bunch of people being like, wow, I got really great results with this marketing service, and they drop a link. I'm like, why the heck didn't YouTube catch this? And then I just block them and delete it. But it's hopefully it's not a real person actually saying it. But then it comes from 5 different accounts with like no picture and a generic name, and you're like, okay, I get this.
Like, is it fake? Yes.
Yes, definitively it is fake. So you've been how long? Well, actually, I'll just scroll through. Your first video was 3 years ago. Really? Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
So I found you relatively early. Like only a couple videos in.
It pretty much, it was pretty consistent thing for 2 years that I did, and I had a lot of great organic growth off of it. So
was there a point where you realized like, hey, this is going well? Like at what point did you get to 1,000 followers, and at what point did you get to 5,000 and 10,000? Like what's the kind of roadmap? I mean, 16,600 subscribers in 3 years is insanely fast. Like that's just you're killing it on YouTube.
Yeah. The first 1,000 happened like relatively quickly. I think within the first 6 months, 7 months, I think. And then everything after that just kind of grew faster. Because after the first 1,000, I was starting to get like 500 a month. And I've been pretty much there for a while. Sometimes it's more, but it's been like 500 to 1,000 subscribers a month. And I've gotten lucky that way. And like we were saying about posting more, it could be more if I posted more content. However, also I want to have a work-life balance because I don't want to hate music at the end of the day, and I don't want to hate YouTube because I started it because I really enjoyed it. And I saw that I was starting to take myself way too seriously in videos. And I was like, oh no, I've got to back away because like, I'm not serious in real life. Like I joke about everything. And then like, I'll like want to joke about something on camera and I'll be like, no, don't say that. Don't say that. Like just super critical of myself. And I was like, man, I don't like this. I want to be able to have fun. So like, I'm just like working on trying to find that balance of, having fun and also creating content that people want to see, and also being able to teach people as well, because I do want to help people learn how to do things in a much shorter time than it took me to learn things. Because when I started producing when I was like 13 or 14, and I remember reaching out to people and there was a lot of ego involved where people didn't want to tell you how to do things. Like they wanted you to learn how to do it yourself. And I just remember how bad that felt, and like having to learn everything and how long it took. And I don't want that for people. If I know something, I want to be able to teach somebody so it can slow their, learning curve. Like you shouldn't be worried about like teaching someone something and then them coming after your spot or something like that. Like
Yeah.
that ego should not be
Yeah.
a thing at all. So yeah, I want to be able to teach people how to do stuff, but I haven't found the best workflow yet, where it's, because I don't want to keep my videos long. I want to be meat and potatoes kind of thing. Like,
Yeah.
to the point. But also having a little bit of character in it as well, because I don't want to be like, oh, Courtney, she's the serious
You don't
one.
want to be the serious robotic Courtney. It's funny,
No.
like I remember, you know, when I first saw your videos, you seemed very shy on camera at first, like,
Yes.
hi everyone, it's Courtney, and I'm gonna, you know, it's another episode of Girl, and then like now you're just kind of like it's completely different, and it's probably the same for my videos. I cringe every time I watch an older video.
Oh God, the old videos, I'm like,
yeah. And I think I went the opposite way, where I would like overcompensate for being awkward on camera. Like I'll be, I guess, a little more pumped, you know, kind of like over in that way. And now my camera attitude has gotten closer to my real life attitude. It still feels a little different, but
I also like figuring out audio for YouTube. Like, it's not just video. Like, I was living in an apartment last year, and I lived next to a highway. That was the hardest thing to do, like, edit. Like, I had so many different microphones. I was going through so many different workarounds, like trying to get it as quiet as possible in this room so I could film, because all you heard was cars just zipping by. And I was like, man, I did not realize that this component of YouTube was going to be so hard. When you think of YouTube, you think of videos, but the audio, it's so important.
Yeah, it's like half the battle is the audio, and it's probably harder to get the audio right, because it's like you can control the lighting in a room. You can't really you can control the sound in a room, but you're going to have an air conditioner, hopefully at least. And then if, like, I actually live very close to a highway, like I could throw, if there was no wall here, I could throw like a baseball to the highway. And at rush hour, like I kind of can't record videos, because you'll hear like trucks screeching, like their brakes grinding and stuff. And but you know, it's just kind of like, it's either give up or make it work kind of scenario. So I'll sometimes use Isotope RX7 to deal with that.
I was about to say that was my saving grace.
Yeah. And now I use like a D80 shotgun mic for all my videos, and that seems to be good because it's directional. And then
yeah, I switched to the Rode which one is this, NTG4, and it's a lot better now.
Yeah, that's kind of like the same kind of shotgun style, right?
Yeah, it is.
Nice.
And it helped tremendously. And I also run it through the Zoom. So I just have my audio go straight into that, because when I had it go through the camera, there was like a weird preamp noise that would go every time, and there was no way for me to get it out. So I found running the shotgun mic into the Zoom was the best way for the clearest audio. Yeah.
And in terms of the actual video, I feel like we have an awesome amount of content, but I want to let everyone know in the chat, drop some questions for Courtney. I usually set this up like the first, we kind of bang out a video chat, and then we just have a kind of live exclusive section, because I want to dive into like what your video setup process is, and that might not be good for the final video, but it's a cool chat, and whoever's hanging out will probably be into it. Solo Hits Music, yeah, we're live. Blake Hart says nothing wrong with a 9 to 5, though it's really more than for most professionals. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah. Yes.
Tom Platts,
7 to 6.
Oh damn, that's intense. Are you like completely salary based, or are you hourly salary kind of blend?
Hourly and salary.
Okay, yeah, I'm kind of this, like, we have to work X amount of hours, like we have a salary, but we get compensated for overtime.
Yeah, so do I.
So it's same kind of thing, where you can work more, and sometimes you kind of have to, but yeah.
Yeah.
So
most of the time.
What's your like video workflow? Because you have a dope like color grade or something on your videos. Like
yeah.
the wood on your desk looks super like, I don't know, has like a depth to it.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
What's the whole stack? Like what's the camera? What's the setup?
Okay. So let's start it off with the overhead camera is a Canon 70D with a Sigma 18 to 35 lens, and then the camera that is facing me is the Canon EOS R, and it has
Nice.
the Sigma I think it's a 24. Yeah, it's a 24 to 35 lens on it. It's a full frame lens, so
I'm using the Canon EOS R right now as my like webcam.
Oh my god, I love that camera. Like it got a lot of hate when it first came out, but I love that camera.
I love it too.
And I have it hooked up to an external monitor so I can film it in 10-bit log.
Ooh.
And yeah,
no wonder why your
really
videos have so much like the wood grain looks so epic. A 10-bit log, that's fancy.
Yeah, so I have that, and then I just have like a regular like softbox light facing me, and then I usually have the overhead lights off, and then I'll have these backlights on, which I can change to any RGB color, so it also helps get the colors right on the desk and stuff like that. But other than that, the audio is the Rode NTG4, and it's running into the Zoom H6. And that is pretty much it for like recording and audio.
Yeah.
And then I use OBS to screen cap. And I also use it like, even when I'm not capturing my screen, I'll use it to get the audio so I can use it for like the video. So like you don't hear like the camera audio for the music parts. So I'll just grab the audio from the screen cap. So it sounds like, you know, good. And there aren't any other external noises. So yeah, I just sync that all up and I put it all into Final Cut Pro and start working from there. I don't use any crazy LUTs though. I just kind of mess with the color grading a bit.
Yeah, I've never purchased a LUT. Like the LUT that's on my, actually, well, for you in the Zoom call, I probably look super like, what's the word? Like, I guess log.
Cool.
Well, yeah, the lighting is very, very, I guess, cold, but like it's very flat because this is like straight from the camera, so it's a log setting. And then in the stream, it looks like my normal thing because in OBS you can import like a LUT, and so I made in Premiere Pro, I make my LUT exported as like .LUT or whatever it is, and then you can throw it in OBS, and that's how I do it at least. That's a sweet setup.
That's a really good tip.
Yeah, so
because I've been thinking about doing live streams, so I did not know that was possible.
Yeah, and I've been meaning to make a video. By the way, there's 20 of you watching, and there's only 10 likes. Come on, guys.
Gosh.
Gotta smash that like button.
Smash that like button.
I've never asked that before, and then I asked it on my Monday live stream, and it like shot up, and I was like, yes. That's why people. Yeah, so I'm gonna make a video about this soon because I did it. You ever heard of Ruslan KD?
Yeah.
So I did like one of these chats with him, and he set up his streaming setup to record, and it was like phenomenal to me. Basically, at this point, I've completely like replicated his setup minus some conveniences that he has. So I use a what's it called, a cam link,
yeah,
Elgato cam link, and you can plug the USR straight into OBS, and that gives this both for streaming and for videos. And then I got one of those stream decks. I don't think I can actually pull the cable long enough, but it just got
the one with the little buttons on it.
Yeah, like so it's kind of like a MIDI controller for video. And you can click a button and change like whether you want to go to a screen cap or full screen U, or maybe like you overlaid. So you set up all these scenes, and it's like you hit a button and it's like, now I'm split screen, now I'm full me, now I'm just screen. And that's, you kind of change from having to sync and edit all these little things after the fact to performing all your transitions. So you'll be kind of like, imagine for like Just a Girl on a Machine, or maybe one of your software demos where you have like an overlaid plugin, you would just set up the screen capture with the camera like natively, and you could just use your controller and have no editing after.
Okay, I'm gonna have to look into this now.
It'll save you a ton of time, like I guarantee.
I feel like this will save me so much time.
It saves me 3 hours per video, essentially.
Oh my god.
Maybe 2 hours per video, but it adds up to, you know, like a lot of time. Like it's like gaining a day of your life back a month, basically.
Right.
Greater Alexander says, so sweet to see Courtney. I've been following you for a while I was interested in beat making and contemplating learning Logic. Courtney, have you thought about trying to do other genres of music?
Actually, yes, I have. I play guitar, and I'm really like into like indie rock stuff, like alternative stuff. So yes, to answer that question, I actually haven't, and I listen to all types of music. So nice.
It's always cool when I have someone on and like several people like, I know that person. It's F. Jord asks, where do you both find inspiration from your music? For me, it's usually a melody that pops into my head, or I get it from playing piano. What do you think?
Usually a melody that pops into my head, and also, this is weird, but whenever I hear somebody listening to music but through a wall, then I hear random melodies that don't sound anything like what they're listening to, and it always inspires me. Like I will immediately grab my phone and hum out what I'm hearing in my head. Just very strange. But I encourage everyone to try this. Like listen to music through a wall and see what you come up with, and then like go back around and listen to it, and it sounds nothing like what you thought it was.
Well, that's super weird. I've never heard that one before.
Super weird, but it is very like helpful if you're like in those ruts where you're having beat block.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow, okay. That's not what I would have heard if I was in the same room.
Yeah. For me, I guess the inspiration probably, I guess it varies. Like sometimes I'll be playing guitar, and I'll like my first main instrument is guitar, and I'll just kind of like play a cool thing, and I'll turn it into a song. Sometimes the guitar riff ends up being a piano or a synthesizer or a vocal line, and sometimes I'll start it off from a more, I guess, marketing perspective. Sometimes, like, I've been going down the future-based direction a lot more lately, and I remember specifically for my song Dreaming, I was having trouble marketing my songs before because I didn't know who they sounded like. So I was like, I'm going to double down on this future-based thing, at least for a few songs. So what I did is I played a bunch of Millennium music, one of my favorite artists, and I was like, in terms of structure and like the vibe of each part, I was like, I'm going to model my song after, I forget what Millennium song it was. And yeah, I think I started off like looking up a bunch of different Millennium chord progressions. I kind of mapped them out in piano, and by the time I finished like a section, it was completely different, and it was his own thing.
Right.
So sometimes
definitely like reverse engineering things helps you.
Yeah.
Like just learn new tools and techniques on how to do things production wise. Like having a new set of tools is very helpful when you find yourself uninspired, because sometimes when you're feeling uninspired, it's like you've maxed out the potential of what you already know. So if you deconstruct and reverse engineer songs or beats or whatever it is, you're learning something new, and now you have this new set where you can create other things that you couldn't before. So I think that's also helpful, is learning new tools, basically.
Yeah, for sure. Either like learning a new chord progression, or learning a new production trick, or learning how to, like, a new technique in guitar. Like if you never learned how to sweep pick or something, you know, you will start making all these crazy arpeggios, and if you never used tapping before, you'll come up with all of these different tapping patterns. So let's see. That's Blake. That's what I need to start doing. Edits are killer. Oh, you're talking about the OBS thing. Yeah, I think next week I'm gonna have that video Ruslan, if everyone knows Ruslan, RUSLANKD, his channel, he actually just dropped his video sharing his YouTube strategy like 2 days ago, and I was like, shit, he beat me to it.
You're like, damn it.
Damn it, I was going to show everyone how he edits videos, and now he showed it himself. Because in the video, I was going to be like, up front, I was going to be like, listen, everyone, I learned this from Ruslan, so like, be sure to check him out. But he already showed it. So, but I'm going to still make the video anyways, because he uses slightly different gear and stuff, so it'll still be cool.
Yeah.
Courtney, do you have an Instagram? Yes, she does. It's at prod by Court. I'll just put it in the chat.
Somebody called me. They DM'd me on Instagram and they were like, "Hey, prod."
I assumed your first name was Prod and your last name was Courtney and your middle name was
Courtney. I was like, yes.
I mean, your name is
Hello.
literally in your, like, your name is Courtney Hawkins. Your @ symbol is Prod by Courtney.
Yeah.
So it must have been a
I was
bot
like,
or something.
I laughed so hard. I was like, I knew this would happen one day.
Sup, Prod. Like, what the heck?
What's up, prod?
And you also have an Instagram.
A Twitter.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant at Twitter. Man,
Yeah.
Twitter, I have always hated Twitter.
Me too. It's a hard place.
It's I've been saying it, like, it's by far the most toxic social media platform. Like, in terms of just, like, people being jerks on Twitter. I've never really had it happen to me. I'm just, like, saying, observing people, like, that's where all, like, the cancel culture stuff lives. That's where all the people kind of just yelling into the void and yeah. It's
It's like a lot of negativity and very little positivity.
Yeah.
Like, I feel, and it's a hard place to be on for extended amounts of time.
Yeah, I find myself getting, like, angry when I use Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
someone will share, like the other day, there was that that guy that got shot in the back like 7 times or whatever.
Mhm.
And I
Yeah.
went through the rabbit hole of reading all the replies to that. And I was, like, angry. I was...
Like, physically, you can feel it in your chest.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, God.
And then, so then I just stopped. And then you scroll a little bit more, and then someone else, you look at the tags and someone's trending, and you find out, like, someone's, like, canceled or someone, like, was killed or died. And it's just, like, nothing ever trends this good. Like, it's...
No. Or somebody is trending and their name is trending and you're like, oh, please tell me they didn't die.
Yeah.
Like, that's the first reaction. I'm like, oh, God, this place is so negative.
Yeah. But I use it, and we all use it.
Yeah.
I use it for my live streams usually.
Also, like, the producer community on there is a bit annoying because they're always arguing over who uses loops and who doesn't. And I'm like, I feel like we have this argument once every week.
Yeah.
And it's just like, let people make music. Who cares if they use loops? Like, I don't.
I mean,
it's a big deal.
One time I made a song. I got like a cymatics pack, and I thought it'd be fun to make a song 100% with just cymatics loop from that pack and release it. And I did. And it came out great. And it wasn't necessarily even easier than making a song from scratch because
No.
it was almost harder because I was chopping up all these little bits and like warping and so the whole like you're using loops. It's not really a good like. It's not that offensive.
No, and it's like, if you hate on people that use loops, then you have to hate on all of the people that use samples. And
Yeah.
you can't. Like, that can't do that.
Yeah, like that Andrew Wong series, where everyone flipped the same.
Sample.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been on that?
No, I asked him though. He was like, he messaged me, he direct messaged me. He's like, I see you and I love what you're doing, but the list is very long right now.
Okay.
And I was like, Andrew, don't break my heart like this.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be surprised to see you on there. Because like Lil Bad Snacks.
Bad
on there?
Snacks was on there. hers was crazy. So was Sarah Too Ill.
Sarah Too Ill.
I don't know if you know her.
Yeah, she's got like a 1 million monthly streams or 900,000 monthly streams in Spotify. Like,
yeah, I think she's hooked up with Epidemic Sounds, so they kind of, you know, help get in playlists and stuff.
Yeah, because I'm down to chat with anybody. I would love to talk with like Bad Snacks or Sarah Too Ill, because they're like doing some crazy things, like Bad Snacks with the live community, and because she does a lot of live stuff, and she's like a violin player that does samples and
crazy talented musician, like multi-instrumentalist, like top tier.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of her growth happens offline too, because she's not really like, she's kind of a YouTuber, but she even says she hates being called a YouTuber. And it seems like she grew offline, which is super unique. Like most people I know grow online. And then Sarah Too Ill, I have no idea where she came from. I just saw her on Andrew Wong's video, looked her up, and I was like, who is this person that has 1 million monthly streams on Spotify?
Yeah, she started on YouTube too, I think with the machine, because she came out to Berlin with the Native Instruments stuff. And we were all chatting and talking, and like just a super, super cool person. Yeah, she has a lot. She's working on a lot of music, and watching her growth has just been really, really fun to see, honestly. It's always dope to see like a woman do really cool things in a predominantly male industry. So I did an episode with Ashley from Woman Crush Music, and I remember she threw some statistic that like 3% of producers or 4% of producers are women, and I was like, well, that makes sense, because off the top of my head, I can name 1 million guy producers, and then for women producers, it's like Courtney Hawkins, and then it's you know the people we were just talking about, and then it's like the people who do what's her name, the YouTuber. I use her as an example a lot. Gabby Hanna's producers. Oh yeah.
They were like a duo. But yeah, it's a weird thing. I don't get it. But yeah, I agree. It's cool. Then let's see, who else? Bo Beats called you an honorary Swede. Yeah,
he did. He kept telling me that when we were in Berlin. He was like, he was like, I don't understand how you're American. You're too nice. Like, he's like, you're too humble. And he was like, you would be a really good Swedish. You'd be a really good Swedish person. You're going to be an honorary Swede. And I was like, dope. I love that for me.
You know, I was like, I don't know if to be offended or happy about this. I guess I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But he's kind of right. A lot of I'm sure a lot of Americans give off the bad vibe, you know.
Well, you just like overly confident sometimes.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
It's usually the loudest. The worst people are usually the loudest, so I understand why a lot of other countries have bad impressions of us Americans.
Yes. Aren't you in like Massachusetts?
Yeah.
Where are you from?
Massachusetts.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah. Where are you from?
Missouri.
Missouri. I've never been to Missouri.
I've never been to Massachusetts either.
Oh.
I've been to a couple East Coast states, but not Massachusetts.
It's all right. We get a lot of snow, and it's crazy weather.
I wish we had a lot of snow.
Missouri is that landlocked?
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah.
No beaches.
No beaches. We have lakes, but that's about it. But the summers are so hot here. It's so humid. It sucks.
You don't have like I mean, I guess maybe it's because I'm very bad at geography, but I would assume that people from Missouri have like a southern accent, but you don't have a southern accent.
It's since it's right in the middle of America, it's more like a Midwestern accent, but I'm not going to lie to you. Missouri is like half Midwestern and half Southern. Okay. So some people do have a southern accent.
Yeah.
It's a little weird.
Someone in the chat, Hemanifest. Hemanifest. I'm probably saying that wrong. I'm in Arkansas. So yeah,
What's up, Arkansas? I'm like 2 hours away from you.
I've never been to like most of the middle of the country, like all the Northeast, California, Texas, Canada, some Caribbean islands, and that's pretty much it. So yeah.
I pretty much just been in the middle. The furthest west I've been is Colorado.
I've never been there. Solo Hits Music is in Tennessee. Tom Platz is in England. Nice.
Hey, Tom Platz.
Do you know Tom Platz?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just saying. Just giving a good old American hello.
Yeah. Hello, Tom Platz. Tom Platz makes some dope music. He was in. He's often is in my music review Monday streams. Did this question already come? Yeah, Tom Platz actually asked, what do you do when you hit a creative block? Any tips to feel re-inspired when you're stuck on something? And we kind of talked about that with the where do you find inspiration? Courtney listens to music through a wall.
I listen to music through a wall, and that's it. I just sit outside of the room. No, but also like getting through creative blocks as well is like, a lot of people are like, oh, you just, inspiration, it comes and goes, but like that's kind of bullshit a little bit. Like you have to treat it like a job, really. Like if you want to work through the creative block, you have to work through it, and you have to like start creating things, and there are going to be things where you don't necessarily care for, but then eventually you'll get to the things that you do. But the more that you work through it, the easier it gets to get through those creative blocks, I think, rather than just not looking at your computer at all or working on any melodies or on any instruments.
Yeah, I agree. You have to work through it in some way. And one way that I do it often is if I'm stuck and I want to make music, I'll start by kind of modeling. Like I'll look up a chord, because you can't copyright a chord progression no matter what lawyers of major labels will try to say in lawsuits.
Right.
But you can't copyright a chord progression. So often if I'm stuck, I'll be like, well, I want to make a song in this vibe. And so I'll look up a chord progression for a couple different songs, and I'll try like putting them on like a piano VST, or I'll try playing them in guitar. I might look up like a guitar riff tab and kind of like do that and morph it and come up with my own version or something. And by the time, even if you try to rip off someone's song, you're going to end up with something different unless you're really good at ripping off people's music. So,
and to that, like there have been studio sessions that I have seen where they will put a song up into the DAW, and then they will start riffing over it, and then they will remove that track, and like whatever they have, like that's just like, they do this in the industry as well, where they just kind of start listening to music and kind of reverse engineering it and making their own type of stuff, and going from there. So I mean, it might be shamed upon, but I think everyone does that at some point to try to get inspiration. So
yeah, totally. And loops is another thing that I'll go through if I'm stuck. Like I use loops in my production, like every couple songs there's usually some loops, either like a cool drum fill or like but if I'm stuck, I'll go to like a cymatics, like one of the big cymatics pack where they have drops and loops, and I'll just throw that in a track and try to just like write in a circle around it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes you end up with
it doesn't.
Sometimes it doesn't, and then you're out of your creative block.
Sometimes it doesn't, and you're like, wow, I don't know how I made that, but it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you ever get that way where you're like, you'll listen to something, you're like, I don't remember how I did this. I don't know if I'll ever be able to do it again.
Usually,
sometimes I feel that.
Every time, pretty much. Especially back in, like, before I was doing mostly metal music. And so it was very guitar heavy. And it's very, like, technical guitar heavy. Like, very complicated, like, 12-minute progressive metal songs. And I would like one of the drummers I work with. He was very like slow in his process, whereas I'm always kind of like, get a song, finish it, release it. Get a song, finish it, release it. He wants to like take months working on his stuff, at least initially. Now he's a lot faster. Shout out Mike. Shout out to you, Mike, if you see this video. But he likes to be very perfect, and by the time he would be done writing, I would have to go back and try to like relearn my songs by ear, because I wouldn't know how to play them.
God.
And because what happens is I record while I write. So like I come up with the riff and then I record on the spot and then I keep writing and recording. And so the first time I track something is the first and last time I ever play it. And then I have to relearn it when we're like finalizing the song. And it's when you have like tapping riffs and solos, and it's like a nightmare, you know.
That happens to me almost every time I write something on guitar. I'm like recording it always because I don't remember how I played it, especially like the finger picking.
Yeah.
I'm like, what was I doing? And then you like have to learn from the audio that you recorded of yourself, which is a bit embarrassing. We gotta do what we gotta do.
It got to the point where I would set up a video camera every time I was tracking and upload it to Google Drive for my phone. So that way I would always have a record. And there was a point where we had another guitarist, so I could send it to them and they could learn from that, and then I could learn for myself.
Right. Oh, God. The struggles.
Jimenez says, you are optimistic. I'm guessing he's talking about us saying sometimes it might come out good. I'm guessing that's what you're saying. Optimistic.
I mean, there aren't too many songs that I make. Okay. Also, this is important to say. We are usually overly critical of the music that we create. And oftentimes, for me, the songs that I don't particularly enjoy the most, other people love. Like, that happens a lot more than it doesn't. So, also you have to put that into account. Like, just release it, because, like, you never know who it's going to connect with. Because I never do. Like, the songs that I usually, like, really, really love and am passionate about, they don't really land as well as I thought that they would. And then the songs that I'm not super connected to, they tend to do better. So, you know?
Yeah. Exactly. Like 100% agree. My song Socialize, I thought would be a complete flop, but I liked it, but I didn't think it was my best song. I thought it was like good, and I was just going to release it because I thought it was good. I didn't think it was my best. And I released it, and it's by far my best stream song. It's like 110,000 streams right now, and it's climbing. And in terms of advertising, it's performed better than all my other songs in advertising in terms of cost. And then the other one was my song Neutron, which was the only song that I used. Usually my rule was I would only use a vocal a cappella if it was a female a cappella. So that way it was obvious it wasn't me singing. But this one song I decided to use a male a cappella. And I was like, it's a cool song, it's fun. It's not going to be like going to do well, but like it just did super well. It was like, what the hell? And then my next song did like significantly worse, and I thought it was way better than that one. So it's, you never know.
You never know, ever. It's so subjective.
Yeah.